I wanted a piece of jewelry that made a statement and had some heft to it, and that is definitely the Cardi set necklaces. 2 different necklaces that you can layer or wear separately. I can't get enough of all 3 looks. A beautiful complement with casual, or if I want to fully dress something out. I got them at Ana Luisa. That's ANALUISA. Their jewelry is so affordable. I absolutely recommend checking out Ana Luisa. They release new collections every Friday. Shop.analuisa.com/scary. And right now, they are having a sale and you will get 20% off. That's ANALUISA.com/scary. I love the individual canvas pockets that Ana Luisa sends its jewelry in. The pockets are small and colorful enough to store with my other jewelry. Plus, when I start buying Ana Luisa for upcoming gifts for friends, I know what beautiful packaging I can expect for them. Go ahead and check out Ana Luisa for 20% off now. Shop.analuisa.com/scary. Their beautiful pieces start at $39, and they're currently running the biggest sale of the year. You can get 20% off if you go on shop.analuisa.com/scary. That's shop.analuisa.com/scary. #AnaLuisaNY. Hello, my dark darlings. I'm Markia, and this is the Something Scary podcast. To our veteran listeners and those just voyaging into the dark with us for the first time, welcome. When someone dedicates their life to something, they earn the status of an expert. But when they feel like they are all-knowing, they are driven by pride instead of knowledge. They'll learn the hard way that their ego has led them astray, and their deadly pride will be the very thing that kills them. First, karma can kill, followed by dangers right behind you, then death by guilt. Finally, in our featured story, people are the ultimate prey. I receive hundreds of creepy story submissions every single week, and of those, the scariest ones make it into our podcast, along with the story that we've chosen to animate and post over at youtube.com/snarled. If you have a tale you're dying to share, send me an email at somethingscary@snarled.com. So, want to hear something scary? Deadly pride. Sometimes we're fortunate enough to experience life-changing events, but you mustn't let your privilege turn to greed, or there will be a price to pay. Like in this story inspired by Candice. Archaeology was a family business, so when Devon, with her master's in Egyptology, got the call from her Aunt Alicia to join her in Cairo, she jumped at the chance. Aunt Alicia was a renowned archaeologist with several excavations under her belt. Her daughter, Poppy, had just joined as an apprentice and was the one to suggest Devon to tag along. Apparently, several underground tunnels had been discovered beneath the pyramid, and the 3 of them were to be the first to set foot in them in thousands of years. While Alicia was successful, she also had a tarnished reputation. Devon had heard rumors that whenever her aunt was the first to uncover a tomb, she would steal artifacts, then sell them on the black market. Some of them were worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Devon wouldn't dare take anything from a tomb for fear of revenge from the dead. Being newer to the field, she just felt honored to be a part of the team. The first dig day, all 3 arrived with their excavation tools, lights, and dusting brushes. They entered the main corridor and followed it hundreds of feet down until they arrived at a taped-off area designated for them. Behind it stood an enormous pile of rocks, as if something sacred was behind it. They quickly got to work. After several hours, they dug enough of an opening for them to enter. Immediately, they were struck with an overwhelming sensation that they were not alone. Alicia was overly excited, almost manic, no doubt thinking of her bank balance. Poppy was on edge. which also rubbed Devon's nerves raw. As Aunt Alicia examined some ancient scriptures on the wall, Devon deciphered the old hieroglyphics. "Those wound tightest are the first to unravel," she read. It seemed like a warning, but Alicia wasn't interested, already pocketing a necklace she'd found. Devon's attempts to dissuade her aunt were met with outrage. It all just felt very wrong. At the center of the room stood the sarcophagus, which they very carefully opened, and what they saw inside was unusual. Alicia was confused. Frowning, she muttered, "That's odd. I've never seen wrappings so tightly wound." Poppy agreed. Usually, a mummy's wrapping is a bit tattered and loose after years of decay, but this was still solid, as if fresh. Perhaps the colder temperatures at this depth preserved it differently, she wondered. Devon's aunt spotted a shiny ivory comb at the mummy's feet. She pocketed it, thrilled that along with the necklace, she would make millions from this dig. They got all the photos and first looks one could ever hope to achieve on the first day of an excavation, and then retired to the hotel, desperate for sleep and a shower before doing it all over again in the morning. The next morning, Alicia was not in the lobby as planned. Devon headed to her aunt's room. Poppy was already standing outside, banging on the door, the hotel manager by her side. The cousins locked eyes, sharing an ominous feeling. As the manager opened the door, Devon walked in first, just in case. She looked inside. Poppy rushed in and fell to her knees. The white sheets from the bed had been wrapped around Alicia's body so tightly they'd torn gashes in her skin. Blood was seeping out of every fold, staining the linen scarlet. Her head was bound also, suffocating her, and they knew instantly that she was dead. 2 days later, the police gave them Alicia's personal items and said a note had been discovered in the palm of her hand. The officer handed over a sealed evidence bag containing the scrap of paper for Devon to read. The paper looked so old, it had almost turned to dust, but she was able to read the same words they found in the tomb. "Those wound tightest are the first to unravel." Stealing the artifacts had caused Aunt Alicia's life to unravel, and she had paid the ultimate price. Thank you so much, Candice, for inspiring this Egyptian excavation tale for us. Listener, have you ever taken something you shouldn't have? What were the consequences? How would you feel if you didn't get caught? Sure, the weather's turning and it's getting colder out, but know what? I don't mind one bit. I love staying in and watching Sundance Now. There's so many amazing shows I can't get enough of. Sundance Now is an ad-free streaming service created by AMC Networks for people who appreciate riveting storytelling. If high-stakes shows are your escape, then Sundance Now is definitely for you. Sundance Now offers the best of true crime series, dramas, and thrillers from all over the world. Their original series, Dead Places, One Lane Bridge, and The Trail in the Outback, the Lindy Chamberlain story, are so good. My next show that I'm looking forward to binge is Too Close, a 3-part drama. Dr. Emma Robinson, a forensic psychiatrist, is sent to assess a woman named Connie who is facing trial for a terrible crime. As Emma tries to make sense of it all, Connie starts to show a searing insight into Emma's deepest insecurities and begins to brutally exploit them. Their sessions become a psychological game with confusing and emotional undercurrents. As Emma tries to uncover the truth and learn what triggered Connie's despicable behavior, it seems that her attempts to see justice done may destroy her instead. You can stream Sundance Now on all your favorite devices for as low as $4.99 a month. Just download the app or watch online and discover exclusive shows from around the world instantly. Start streaming your next obsession. Try Sundance Now free for 30 days by going to sundancenow.com and use promo code SCARY. That's sundancenow.com code SCARY for 30 days of free streaming. sundancenow.com code SCARY. When we are feeling lost, it can be easy to overlook things, to ignore warnings, scoff at the signs. But fate has a way of catching up, and it will find you, no matter the price. Like in this story inspired by Maximus. Remy was a few months out of college, struggling to find her way in the world. Between a degree in parapsychology and a global pandemic, she found herself packing up and moving back to Birmingham to live with her parents. Not only had the world shut down, but apparently hiring someone who had studied inexplicable phenomena wasn't at the top of anyone's list. Future unknown, she sold all her furniture and loaded the car with clothes, boxes of literature, and things that she'd collected over the last 4 years of studies. Perhaps she didn't think there would be any harm in driving around with these artifacts, these relics, these ancient keepsakes. But that would be a mistake she would regret. She awoke before dawn the next morning to begin the 14-hour journey. Within moments of reaching the highway, rather than the expected sunrise, the sky began to turn dark. Thunder and lightning quickly followed, and swirling black clouds filled the sky. Occasionally, Remy would have to pull over to allow the heavy rains to pass. The meteorologist on the radio was even confused by the unexpected turn in the weather. She was begging for everyone to stay safe, to only head out onto the roads if absolutely necessary. But Remy was determined to get to her parents before dark, so she kept driving, despite the warning. After a couple of hours, she made it out of the storm, its fury only visible in the rearview mirror. She shook it off as a fluke, glad to be past it and safe. An hour later, she hit a pothole, shifting the boxes in the back. Remy kept driving for several more moments when suddenly, something hit the wheel, causing her to swerve off the road. When she checked, the tire was blown. It couldn't have been the pothole. As she stepped closer to inspect, there was a knife stuck in the tire's side. She looked around, seeing nothing but farmland, and chalked it up to some random debris left by a farmer. It took 30 minutes to change the tire, but eventually she was back on the road. For several hours, it was a peaceful ride. Eerily quiet, in fact. Then she saw the sign, "Welcome to Birmingham," filling her with an overwhelming sense of relief. Wanting to take a photo of the sign with her old-school film camera, she reached back, fumbling through the boxes, knocking them one side to the other, one hand still on the steering wheel, trying to locate it. Remy felt around in the back, unknowingly touching each of the cursed objects, the relics, the ancient keepsakes, until she found what she wanted. She pulled right up to the sign and got out of the car. She held the camera up, snapped the photo, and through the lens, saw a skeletal figure, pieces of gray skin peeling off, flapping in the breeze. Its bony hands stretched out towards Remy, and its gaunt face looked at her with eyeless sockets, burning red. She jumped back, terrified, but as she lowered the lens, the ghastly apparition was gone. What the hell? So, despite being afraid, she raised the camera again, shaking at the thought of seeing that thing again. But the screen was normal. No demonic figure to be seen. Remy let out a shaky breath. She must have imagined it. It had been a long and stressful journey after all. About to head back to the car, seemingly out of nowhere, a van slammed into her, dragging her body 20 yards, fatally wounding her. As her heart gave its last beat, she looked up, to see the same skeletal demonic figure hovering above her, ready to catch her soul where it would be locked away with it forever. If only Remy had taken the time to pack away the cursed objects without handling them, these cursed relics always find a way to fulfill their dark promise. Remy had ignored all the signs, so in the end, death caught up with her. Thank you so much, Maximus, for inspiring this cursed relic tale for us. Do you have any cursed relics or cursed objects in your house? How did you get them, and do you treat them with respect? Has there ever been a time you've been so overwhelmed it seemed like you forgot everything you knew, as in, you lost your common sense? Like lots of people, I've had my extra share of anxiety and stress. I've been working from home now since March 2020. My sleep can be all over the place. Y'all understand, I'm sure. Noom's mood and stress program is helping me manage my emotion waves. That's the experience of emotion over time. Noom is giving me daily activities to manage when my stress crests. And thank goodness. The Noom app is really easy to use and is backed by scientifically proven principles that teach you how to manage your stress and anxiety. A team of dedicated coaches are available 24/7 to support you. And there's a daily program that guides you all the way through. You are stronger than your stress. It doesn't get to control you. Equip yourself with the knowledge and skills to steer yourself to happiness. As experts in behavior change, Noom has helped millions of people through their weight loss program, so you know they can help you tackle stress too. All you need is 10 minutes a day, and it's an app, so it's there for you anytime, anywhere. Worry less and feel happier. Sign up for your trial at noom.com/scary. That's NOOM.com/scary to sign up for your trial. Just because you have the biggest heart in the world doesn't mean it can make up for a deadly mistake. Like in this story inspired by Shayde. Candice was the #1 pharmacist in Ventura County. Folks would drive for miles just to visit Dobson's drugstore. She was able to calm and cure her patients as if she'd cast a spell. Even though it was possible to get overwhelmed with the workload, she still devoted herself to the store and the community. The hardest part was that most of the customers were elderly, and Candice had seen many people come and go throughout her 30-year career, but she always felt as if they were still with her. Miss May was her favorite. In her 80s, she was still spry as ever. She would pop in to see Candice at least twice a week. If it wasn't for a prescription, it was for an iced tea, some hard candy, and a lotto ticket. Always numbers 2, 16, 19, 34, 55, 78. The first 4 numbers were her birth date, February 16, 1934. 55 was the year she married, and her husband passed away at 78 years. She'd been playing the same numbers 4 years. One day, Miss May came to fill her prescription for her blood pressure medicine. There had been a mix-up with her insurance, and with no time to fix it, Candice offered a free trial of a new drug she'd been promised by the pharmaceutical rep was just as good as her client's usual medication. She assured Miss May she would be just fine, but 3 days later, Miss May was dead. The coroner ruled the cause of death as heart failure and atherosclerosis, both usually caused by high blood pressure. While Candice felt awful, she knew she had done the right thing according to the current medical laws. But still, there was a part of her that felt like if she had just taken the extra time, Miss May would still be alive. It began to haunt her, playing on her mind, causing her stress and anxiety. Weeks went by, and just as things started to return to normal, Candice swore she saw Miss May walking by the store or in the aisles, but when her eyes adjusted, it would be someone else or nothing at all. Late one night, Candice was in the back prepping prescriptions. She had a stack of small slips of paper, medical letterheads filled out by doctors. Halfway through the stack, she saw a random white piece of paper. In sprawling handwriting, it said, Miss May Danson, Zestral. Shayde jolted back. She looked around as if this was someone's sick joke. Zestral was the brand Miss May usually took before Shayde had convinced her to take the free trial medication instead. Shayde thought someone else at the pharmacy must have been playing a joke. She went to the front of the store to look around, but to her surprise, it was empty. The place had been locked up, the lights turned off. She looked at her watch and realized she had stayed past closing again. As she walked back to the pharmacy, a register started going off. It was making all kinds of noises. Shayde headed over to it. The drawer was opening and closing on its own, the keys on the register being pushed. Then suddenly, it stopped. Shayde leaned over and shut the drawer. She looked at the receipt sticking out at the top. Chills ran down her spine. It read, Iced Tea, Hard Candy, Mega Million. And as she stood frozen, the register began typing in the Mega Million numbers. 2, 16, 19, 34, 55, and finally, 78. Just then, Shayde felt a tightness in her chest, and she collapsed to the ground, writhing in pain. Lying there, clutching her heart with the receipt in her grip, she just faded away. The coroner ruled the cause of death as heart failure and atherosclerosis, just like the former Miss May. Thank you so much, Shayde, for inspiring this tale of guilt for us. Have you ever made a mistake that was difficult to live with? Any supernatural repercussions? Maybe something that you even brought upon yourself? Tell us about it at SomethingScary@Snarled.com. I love that my new hair journey with Prose is specialized for me, from the online quiz to even printed on the bottles they sent to me. There's no one-size-fits-all solution when it comes to hair care. A product that works wonders for curls might make straight hair limp and greasy feeling. My natural curls need a lot of moisture, curl definition with a bit of volume, and healthy proteins. Thanks to my new personalized Prose routine, I'm excited to try out their new routine with my hair. Prose analyzed all my answers and determined what unique blend of ingredients should be in every product of my custom routine. Together with Prose, I'll have all my hair goals covered. My specially formulated hair product has shea oil and hazelnut oil, specifically to help with taming and repairing dry hair. If you're not 100% positive Prose is the best hair care you've had, they will take the products back, no questions asked. Prose is the healthy hair regime with your name all over it. Take your free in-depth hair consultation and get 15% off your first order today. Go to prose.com/scary. That's prose.com/scary for your free in-depth hair consultation and 15% off. I found a great new sunglasses brand, Blenders Eyewear. They come straight out of San Diego, California, of course. And I think you're going to love them as much as my friends do. They sent me a couple of pairs. I really enjoy the functionality of the blue light glasses. They help cut down on eye ache while not affecting real-world colors. I enjoy that they're a look, but are still very functional. But the chromatic sleeve to carry shades in is still my personal favorite. So easy to find in my bag, and it looks good when I'm pulling them out to wear. The company was started by Chase Fisher, selling his beachy shades out of a backpack while doubling as a surf instructor on Pacific Beach. His goal was to create an adventurous, mid-price eyewear option with the same cool factor as other leading styles. Unlike expensive big brand shades that you've probably lost or smashed in the past, Blenders are actually affordable, so you're not going to cry as much when the inevitable happens. Blenders always has new styles, from orange polarized wraparounds, tortoiseshell frames with purple lenses, to classic gold arms on black lenses. And it's not just sunglasses. They also have prescription glasses, readers, and blue lights. as well as a snow collection with goggles and accessories. To score 15% off your Blenders purchase, visit blenderseyewear.com and enter promo code SCARYVIP. That's blenderseyewear.com, code SCARYVIP for 15% off. Blenders, rocked with pride worldwide. Forests and what lives in them are judged to be just a resource, and unfortunately most times is a resource for humans to destroy. But lying within the depths of them are still some surprises waiting for those who disrespect Mother Forest's good nature. Deep in the Colombian forest, a terrifying protector guards the landscape. She is known by those who respect and fear her as La Madremonte, Mother Mountain. This spirit, this legend dressed in leaves, she will do you no harm if you value nature as she does. But beware, she is also a harbinger of justice. It will enforce the law of the forest to anyone who causes harm, especially those who hunt for greed, and the penalty might be death. Mira Miller could feel the adrenaline pumping through her veins. The thrill of the hunt was what drove her and her old college buddies, Jason and Lotus, across the globe to find new game to track in places they didn't need a permit, or at least where they could pay enough money to have officials look the other way. The cotton-top tamarin, an endangered species of primate that lived deep in the Colombian forest, was to be her latest trophy. She was determined to either capture one for the illegal pet trade or hunt it, another distinctive head to mount on the wall of her den. The poachers spoke in hushed whispers as they trudged through the trees, accompanied by the chirping of cicadas and rustles of leaves. After hours of nothing, they heard a screech, the cry of the tamarin. Mira turned her compound crossbow upwards towards the highest branches. As her finger rested on the trigger, a sharp tug yanked at her leg. Mira yelped, tumbling to the ground. Her arrow missed, firing into a tree nearby. "Mira, what the hell? You had it!" Jason called. She looked up, the primate long gone. She glared at Jason, seething. "Thanks a lot," she snarled. Stomping off, she gazed back up at the now ominously orange sky. She'd never seen it look like that before. Muttering, Mira suggested they all head back to the lodge as it would be getting dark soon. The trio trudged back through the dimming forest in silence. A half hour passed, and there was no sign of the path they'd previously taken. It was almost as if the landscape had changed. The three of them hadn't spoken for a while, so she assumed the others felt the same way, that they were utterly lost. Before Mira could turn around to confer with them, she heard a noise, a quiet clicking and a rustle of bushes, and something else. She raised her weapon, scanning the menacing trees. The forest was quiet, too quiet. She turned, and her blood froze to ice. Lotus was crouched, weapon also poised at the trees, but Jason was gone. She was nowhere to be seen. They swore that just minutes earlier, she'd been right behind them. Mira felt disoriented. Lotus looked just as confused. They called out, hoping to hear a response. Instead, there was only a clicking sound and strange shadows just out of sight. Jason wouldn't play this kind of prank. Something was very wrong. As the hair on the back of her neck began to prickle, Mira shouted, "Run!" The women ran, Mira in the lead. They were now looking out for themselves. Lotus didn't even have time to scream as a large, shadowy creature swooped in and grabbed her from behind. The hunters were now being hunted. Mira was beset with panic and tripped over a loose root on the forest floor. Rubbing her ankle, she realized Lotus was no longer behind her. "Lo?" she called, but as before, she was met only with silence. Dread gnawed at her insides. Limping, she looked ahead at the seemingly impossible. The trees in front of her had somehow blocked her path. she could only retreat, heading backwards. As she did, she felt wet drops land on her cheek, along with the unmistakable stench of copper. Slowly, as her heart thumped with terror, she raised her eyes to the forest canopy. Her legs wobbled and she gagged at the hideous sight. At the top of a canopy were the bodies of Lotus and Jason. The women were tied above with vines that pierced through their bodies like barbed wire. Their insides were wrapped around the vines, painting the dark green forest red. Blood spilled from their mouths, dripping down on her face. As she stumbled and fell to the ground in horror, a long, knotted wooden arm reached towards her, clicking and snapping, its nails sharpened to the peak. Bright emerald eyes glowed within the darkness, illuminating a mass of hair made of leaves. It looked like a woman, but a monstrous woman, with green skin, vegetation, and sticks springing up across her body. Her teeth were sharp, spread wide in her crooked, malicious smile. Mira screamed, petrified, as the creature rushed in, swiping with her machete-sharp limb, and then walked back into the forest with her trophy, Mira's decapitated head. A few days later, 3 missing persons notices were pasted all across the nearby county, but the bodies of the trio were never found. La Madremonte, Mother Mountain, was victorious yet again. She slides within the shadows of the forest, watching and waiting for those who trespass and those who break the laws of nature for their own gain. A deadly fate awaits those who dare try. This week's podcast stories were edited by Markia McCarty, Janine Pipe, and Sarah Lukasiewicz. Narration by Markia McCarty. Audio edited and mixed by Fitz Harris. Additional audio editing by Calvin Linderman. Art and graphics by Mari Carlson. Produced by Hannah Mullen and Markia McCarty. Music by Sapphire Sandalo and Calvin Linderman.